Italy is officially divided into 20 regions, but the moment you begin to explore them properly, they stop behaving like administrative boundaries and start feeling like overlapping civilizations. Each region carries its own capital, dialects, cuisine, historical scars, artistic triumphs, and centuries of political reinvention. So what looks like one country on a map is actually a living mosaic of 20 distinct historical worlds stitched together across mountains, plains, islands, and coasts. Let's move through them slowly, like walking through a vast open-air museum where every room refuses to look like the last. Northern Italy is shaped by altitude and ambition. The Alps act like a natural fortress, while fertile plains below became the stage for trade, innovation, and intense rivalry between independent cities long before national unity existed. This is also where Italy most strongly connects with Central Europe, both geographically and culturally. Yet beneath its modern efficiency lies a deeply fragmented medieval past. Valle d'Aosta is Italy's smallest region, but its historical importance far exceeds its size. Nestled among some of Europe's highest peaks, including Monte Bianco, it has served as a gateway between Italy, France, and Switzerland for thousands of years. Its capital, Aosta, was founded by the Romans in 25 BC as Augusta Praetoria. Even today, visitors can admire remarkably preserved Roman walls, arches, gates, and theatres that testify to the region's strategic significance. Throughout the Middle Ages, Valle d'Aosta became part of the domains of the House of Savoy, whose influence would eventually shape the future of Italy itself. Because of its position among important Alpine passes, the region was vital for trade, military campaigns, and communication between northern and southern Europe. This region remains culturally unique. French enjoys official status alongside Italian, and many local traditions reflect centuries of interaction with neighboring Alpine communities. Today, Valle d'Aosta is known for its spectacular mountain landscapes, medieval castles, winter sports, and strong regional identity. It feels less like a borderland and more like a bridge connecting different European worlds. Piemonte sits at the edge of the Alps, historically positioned between Italy and France, and that border identity shaped everything about it. Torino was the first capital of unified Italy in 1861, giving it a symbolic role as the political starting point of the modern nation. Before that, it was the seat of the House of Savoy, a dynasty that played a long strategic political game across Europe, eventually leading the push for unification during the Risorgimento. But Piemonte is not only political architecture, it is also agricultural refinement and industrial transformation. It is famous for wines from Langhe Hills, white truffles that appear like seasonal treasures, and a culinary philosophy that later influenced the global slow food movement. At the same time, Torino developed into an industrial giant, especially in automotive manufacturing. This dual identity, royal elegance and mechanical innovation, makes Piemonte feel like a region constantly balancing tradition and progress. Even its geography reinforces this duality: snow-capped mountains on one side, fertile plains on the other, as if the land itself is split between silence and motion. Lombardia is Italy's most economically dynamic region, but its history is far older than its modern skyscrapers suggest. Milano began as a Celtic settlement, became a Roman stronghold, and later evolved into a powerful medieval and Renaissance city-state. Over centuries, it was contested by emperors, duchies, and foreign powers, each leaving architectural and cultural layers behind. The result today is a city where Gothic cathedrals stand in conversation with glass towers, and centuries-old streets lead directly into global financial districts. But Lombardia is not just Milano. Lakes like Como and Garda introduce a slower rhythm. Villages, villas, and water reflections that feel almost suspended in time. The region constantly shifts between speed and stillness, industry and nature. Historically, Lombardia has always been a place of transition, a gateway between Italy and the rest of Europe, where ideas, goods, and armies passed through and reshaped the landscape. Veneto carries one of the most extraordinary historical identities in Europe. Venezia was once the capital of the Venetian Republic, a maritime empire that controlled trade across the Mediterranean, the Adriatic, and parts of the East for centuries. Venezia was not just a city, but a political system, naval power, and economic network built on water, diplomacy, and commerce. Its influence stretched far beyond Italy, shaping art, architecture, and global trade routes. But Veneto is more than Venice. Verona preserves Roman heritage and later became immortalized in literature and romantic mythology. Padova is home to one of Europe's oldest universities, anchoring the region in intellectual history. Veneto feels like a layered civilization where each city preserves a different chapter: Roman, medieval, Renaissance, maritime, and academic, all coexisting in one region. Trentino-Alto Adige is where Italy meets the Alps in their most dramatic form. Trento reflects a deep cultural blend between Italian and Austro-Hungarian heritage. For centuries, this region belonged to the Habsburg Empire, and that influence still shapes language patterns, architecture, and everyday life. After World War I, it was incorporated into Italy, making it one of the most recent additions to the national map. The result is a region where Italian and Germanic traditions coexist naturally. Wooden Alpine villages, bilingual communities, and landscapes that shift between pastoral valleys and sharp mountain peaks. Even cuisine reflects this dual identity, combining Mediterranean and Alpine influences into something entirely unique. At Italy's northeastern edge lies Friuli Venezia-Giulia, one of the country's most fascinating cultural crossroads. Its capital, Trieste, occupies a unique position on the Adriatic Sea. For centuries, Trieste served as the principal port of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, connecting Central Europe to Mediterranean trade routes. The region's history stretches back to Roman times. The ancient city of Aquileia was once one of the Roman Empire's most important centers, serving as a strategic military outpost and commercial hub. Over the centuries, Friuli Venezia-Giulia became a meeting place of Latin, Slavic, and Germanic cultures. Venetians, Austrians, Slovenians, and Italians all left their mark on the region's architecture, language, cuisine, and traditions. Its strategic location also placed it at the center of major 20th century events. Following both world wars and during the Cold War, the region became a symbolic frontier between Western and Eastern Europe. Today, visitors encounter a remarkable blend of Alpine mountains, Adriatic coastline, vineyards, historic towns, and multicultural heritage. Few places in Italy illustrate the country's connection to Central Europe as clearly as Friuli Venezia-Giulia. Emilia Romagna is one of the most culturally dense regions in Europe, shaped by roads, learning, and food traditions that stretch back centuries. Bologna is home to the oldest university in the Western world, making it a long-standing center of intellectual life. The region itself follows the path of the ancient Via Emilia, a Roman road that structured settlement patterns, commerce, and communication. Over time, city-states such as Parma, Modena, and Ferrara developed strong identities, often competing politically while contributing collectively to a shared cultural legacy. This is the birthplace of iconic culinary traditions, filled pastas, cured meats, aged cheeses, and rich sauces. But beneath the cuisine lies a history of governance, law, and academic development that influenced much of Europe. Emilia Romagna feels like a region where knowledge and pleasure evolved side by side, never separated. Liguria is a thin coastal arc pressed between mountains and sea, yet historically it was a maritime force of enormous influence. Genova rose as a powerful maritime republic, competing with Venezia for control of Mediterranean trade routes. Its fleets, merchants, and bankers helped shape European commerce for centuries. Christopher Columbus is traditionally associated with Genova, linking the region symbolically to exploration and global expansion. The geography forced cities upward rather than outward, creating steep vertical settlements where streets climb like staircases into the hills. Liguria feels compressed but powerful, small in size, immense in historical reach. Central Italy is where the deepest foundations of Western civilization converge. This is Etruscan land, Roman heartland, and Renaissance ignition point all at once. Here history is not distant, it feels embedded in stone beneath your feet. Toscana represents one of the most influential cultural renaissances in human history. Firenze rose from Roman origins into a medieval banking powerhouse, largely shaped by families such as the Medici, who transformed patronage into a system that fueled artistic revolution. Dante helped formalize the Italian language. Michelangelo reshaped sculpture and human anatomy. Leonardo da Vinci blurred boundaries between science, engineering, and art. The impact of these figures radiated far beyond Italy, influencing European intellectual development for centuries. Outside Firenze, Toscana expands into rolling landscapes, Etruscan archaeological remains, vineyards, and hill towns that feel untouched by time. It is a region where human creativity and natural beauty seem to reflect each other. Roma is one of the most historically significant cities in global history. It began as a small settlement on the Tiber River and expanded into the center of the Roman kingdom, republic, and empire. From here emerged legal systems, engineering innovations, political structures, and architectural techniques that still shape modern societies. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire, Roma transformed again, becoming the spiritual center of Christianity and later the capital of modern Italy. Within its boundaries lies Vatican City, adding another layer of religious and political influence. Umbria is often called the green heart of Italy, but it is also one of its most ancient cultural landscapes. Perugia preserves Etruscan foundations alongside medieval architecture that survived centuries of regional change. The region is defined by monasteries, hill towns, spiritual retreats, and artistic traditions tied closely to religious history. It has often served as a place of reflection rather than expansion. Umbria's rhythm is slower, but its historical depth is profound and continuous. Ancona has long functioned as a maritime gateway between Italy and the Adriatic world. Founded in antiquity and expanded during Roman times, it became an important trading and naval point. Inland, the region develops into rolling hills filled with fortified towns and Renaissance influences. Marche acts as a cultural bridge connecting central Italy to eastern Mediterranean trade routes and ideas. Abruzzo is where Italy becomes raw, mountainous, and expansive again. L'Aquila sits within a landscape of national parks, high peaks, and ancient settlements. Historically, Abruzzo functioned as a frontier between competing kingdoms shaped by isolation and natural barriers. This produced a strong local identity rooted in resilience and adaptation. Earthquakes, geography, and distance from major power centers all contributed to a culture that is deeply self-reliant. Molise is Italy's second smallest region and perhaps its least known, leading to the humorous Italian internet phrase, Molise doesn't exist. Yet its history is very real and stretches back thousands of years. Its capital, Campobasso, developed around a medieval castle and remains an important cultural center for the region. In antiquity, Molise was inhabited by the Samnites, one of Rome's fiercest rivals. The Samnite Wars, fought between Rome and the Samnite peoples, played a crucial role in the expansion of Roman power throughout the Italian peninsula. Following Roman conquest, the region became integrated into the empire, but retained its rural character. During the Middle Ages, it passed through the hands of Lombards, Normans, and various feudal rulers. Unlike many Italian regions that developed large urban centers, Molise remained largely agricultural, preserving traditions, folklore, and ways of life that disappeared elsewhere. Southern Italy is a living archaeological continuum. Greek colonists, Roman expansion, Norman conquest, and Spanish rule all left traces that were not erased but absorbed. Instead of replacement, history here stacks like geological layers. Napoli is one of Europe's oldest continuously inhabited urban centers. Mount Vesuvio dominates the landscape and history alike, famously preserving Pompeii and Ercolano under volcanic ash in 79 AD. Campania was part of Magna Graecia, where Greek settlers established cities long before Roman dominance. Later, it became a seat of kingdoms, art, music, and dense urban culture that continues today. Bari has always served as a meeting point between East and West. Its history includes Byzantine influence, Norman conquest, and long-standing maritime trade connections across the Adriatic. The landscape is defined by agriculture, especially olive groves, limestone architecture, and coastal towns that reflect centuries of cultural exchange. Puglia feels like a region shaped by arrival and departure, always open to movement across seas. Potenza is a quiet but historically ancient region. Home to early Italic peoples, Basilicata was incorporated into the Roman world and later remained largely rural and mountainous. This isolation preserved older cultural forms and slowed urban development, allowing ancient traditions to persist longer than in many other regions. Catanzaro sits in a region strongly shaped by Greek colonization in antiquity. As a part of Magna Graecia, Calabria absorbed Greek language, culture, and urban organization, some of which persisted for centuries. Its mountainous terrain and coastal exposure created a region that was often influenced by external powers, but maintained strong local identity and continuity. Palermo is one of the most culturally layered cities in the Mediterranean world. Sicilia has been shaped by Greeks, Romans, Arabs, Normans, and Spanish rule. Each civilization left architecture, language traces, agricultural practices, and culinary influences. Because of its position at the center of the Mediterranean, Sicilia has always functioned as a crossroads between Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Cagliari sits on an island whose history predates classical Rome by thousands of years. The Nuragic civilization built thousands of stone towers, nuraghi, many still standing across the landscape, forming one of Europe's most mysterious prehistoric legacies. Because of its isolation, Sardegna developed distinct linguistic, cultural, and rural traditions that remained preserved across centuries of external influence. After learning about Italy's 20 regions, let's finish our journey with a simple story that travels across the country. Un viaggio attraverso l'Italia. Marco è uno studente di italiano del Sudafrica. Un giorno decide di fare un viaggio in Italia per conoscere le sue regioni. Il suo viaggio comincia da Aosta, in Valle d'Aosta. Marco vede le montagne molto alte e dice: che belle montagne. Poi va a Torino, in Piemonte, dove visita i musei e mangia il cioccolato. Dopo prende il treno per Milano, in Lombardia. La città è grande e moderna. Marco visita il Duomo e fa molte fotografie. A Venezia prende una gondola e naviga sui canali, è molto felice. A Trieste beve un caffè guardando il mare Adriatico. In Toscana visita Firenze e ammira le opere d'arte. Davanti ad una statua dice: questa città è un museo a cielo aperto. A Roma cammina tra i monumenti antichi, vede il Colosseo e immagina i gladiatori dell'antica Roma. Poi continua verso il sud. A Napoli mangia una pizza margherita. È la pizza più buona della mia vita, esclama. In Puglia visita piccoli paesi bianchi vicino al mare. In Calabria guarda un tramonto spettacolare. Infine arriva in Sicilia. A Palermo scopre mercati colorati e persone molto simpatiche. Dopo alcune settimane Marco torna a casa. I suoi amici gli chiedono: qual è la regione più bella? Marco sorride e risponde: non posso scegliere. Ogni regione è diversa. È questo che rende l'Italia così speciale. Italy may appear as a single country on a map, but as we've discovered throughout this journey, it is really a collection of 20 unique regions, each with its own identity, traditions, landscapes, and history. If you enjoyed this journey across Italy and learned something new about its regions, capitals, and history, don't forget to support the channel. Like this video if you love Italian culture and history. Leave a comment below and tell us, which Italian region would you most like to visit and why? Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss future videos about Italian language, culture, history, traditions and travel. Grazie mille for watching and until next time, arrivederci e a presto!